So May is Military Appreciation Month, and every week we've had the honor of recognizing a Military Times Service Member of the Year. Today we are introducing you to the Airman of the Year, and she has quite a story of bravery to tell you. The world will remember the U.S. evacuation of Afghanistan and fall of Kabul as a harrowing event. The Kabul airport quickly becoming an international crisis as people became desperate to get out of that country. And within all the chaos, there was a critical care air transport team and one nurse in particular that put their lives on the line to save others during those critical hours. Then on August 26, 2021, an unexpected and deadly explosion. A suicide bomber infiltrated the Abbey Gate area of the airport, killing dozens of people, including our own service members. And that's when Major Katie Lunning stepped in and stepped up to perform triage for 22 patients.
On August 26th, I had just returned from a 20-hour mission where I had taken care of intensive care unit patients, and my phone rang, and it was my doc, and he was calling saying there's been an explosion at the airport in Kabul, and we need to go back right this second. We were under the assumption it was a suicide bomber. The crowds had scattered, and it was replaced by Taliban fighters. They were shooting rockets at the airplanes much more frequently at this time when we were trying to land. This was the first time I'd ever been in this severe of a situation.
But you would never know that because Major Lunning had to fight the fear and remain mission-focused as she provided life-saving care, including an IV for an 18-month-old Afghan patient without any pediatric supplies. Major Lunning is not only the Military Times Airman of the Year, but she was also awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for her action. Minnesota Guardsman Major Lunning, who proudly serves the 133rd Airlift Wing, joins us now live from Des Moines. Great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I do want to begin just with taking us back, if you don't mind, to the 26th of August. Describe the scene as the explosion happened and Taliban fighters were descending on the airport. What was your first thought, and how did you jump into action?
Well, my team and I had just returned from about a 20-hour mission when we got the call that there had been an explosion at the airport. And we knew that it was likely the suicide bomber. And our first thoughts were we didn't know what we were going to be landing in, what sort of chaos. But it was different because we knew that it was very likely that we'd be responding to our own brothers and sisters in uniform.
And when you found out you were, what was that like, Katie?
You know, your heart just sank because you saw the hard work that they were putting in on the ground those weeks leading up to it and how they were trying to help during this evacuation. And it was just a sense of urgency to get in there and help them.
You know, covering the Iraq War, I've been in those situations where you are trying to save your own. As you were working to save lives, I know you were very vocal too. What is it as a nurse you say, right, to keep telling them to keep fighting?
Just that they're not alone and that we're with them is what we just kept saying to them. We would grab their hand and just tell them we're here and we're going to be with them and they're not alone.
And you sure proved that. You know, you mentioned prior to that day, you were already flying dozens of missions every day to evacuate casualties. Your comrades describe you as pushing stretchers through Taliban-controlled city streets with only an M9 to protect yourself. Describe those days, Katie, and what kept you going?
Chaotic and blurry. Looking back, you know, you're sleep deprived and running off of adrenaline, but it was just keeping the mission in mind and what we were there to do. We were focusing on our jobs and what we had to do to get our job done.
They also tell me that your mantra is scary stuff we can't control. You realize that. How did that keep you awake, alive, and just driven to keep saving lives? Explain that mantra.
Yeah, so it started with my respiratory therapist, Matt, and we would get an intel brief before we flew, and it was always full of danger and all the things that could happen. And he looked at me on one of the first missions and said, scary stuff we can't control. And it just brought a big smile to my face, and that's right. We can't control the scary things. And what we can control is doing our jobs. So we were working together as a team. Not one of us stood out more than the other. It was us together as a team that were going to work together to get these patients out of there.
How did the evacuation of Afghanistan change your life?
It made me very grateful for the freedoms that I do have. Seeing people that were willing to leave their lives and everything behind for a chance at freedom. I will never forget that feeling and just feeling very grateful for the country that I live in.
Well, I know there's a lot of people that are very grateful for you, not only your military service, but I know you're extremely dedicated to your faith and your family. You're an active volunteer in your church. You work with the disabled kids there. You also take part in the family readiness unit for your husband's guard unit. So, supermom and wife, how do you do it?
A lot of communication with my husband. My husband is full-time in the Iowa Army National Guard, and we just get used to constant communication about who's going where and what we're doing.
Yeah, communication is everything, right? To a successful mission and a successful marriage. We know that. Katie Lunning, it's such a treat to talk to you. Congratulations, and it was a privilege to honor you today.
Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.